Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. It seems like just yesterday we were all stuck in traffic, dreaming of working from home in our PJs, right? And
Right.
now here we are, tons of us working remotely, and suddenly figuring out this whole work-life balance thing is, well, kind of tricky.
Yeah, definitely. And it's something a lot of people are struggling with. It's not just, oh, it'd be nice to have a better balance, because
Exactly.
this is like actually impacting people.
This is impacting people's mental health, their productivity. We've got a ton of research, actually, about the effects of remote work on all this stuff. And we're going to dive into all of it. Like, what are the biggest challenges people are facing? What are some strategies that seem to actually work?
Yeah, because there's a lot of advice out there.
Oh, so much
But
advice.
we want to focus on what the research is actually saying.
Yeah, actionable stuff. And to really bring it home, we've got some really interesting stories from people who are, you know, living this remote life every day.
Yeah, the good, the bad. We're going to
Yeah.
get real.
So to kick things off, I think one of the biggest things people are talking about is this idea of the lines between work and life just getting completely blurred.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like when you're working from home,
Yeah.
your office is also, your living room, your kitchen table, maybe even your bed, if we're being honest.
Yeah, and I think what happens then is it's really hard to shut off.
Yeah.
In a traditional office, you leave at the end of the day and you're physically removed from that workspace.
Right. You commute home,
Yeah.
which is like its own little buffer zone, even if
Yeah,
it's stressful.
exactly. But when your home is your office, that line gets really blurry. And the research is showing that that can lead to, feeling like you're always on, like you should always be available.
Which is exhausting.
It is. And it can actually lead to burnout.
It's so true. And then you've got all the distractions.
It
I mean,
is.
I don't know about you, but I'm way more likely to do a load of laundry or like bake a cake in the middle of the workday if I'm home.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not even just the big things. Sometimes it's just like, the TV is right there, or you see a pile of dishes that needs to be done. And it's so easy to get pulled away from work.
And then on the flip side, you've got people who are working longer hours because they feel like they're always on. Like they
No.
have to constantly prove they're being productive.
Oh, definitely. That's a big one. And it's interesting, we were talking about the stories.
Yes.
We actually came across a few examples of this. I think one that really stuck with me was this person who had completely given up on having a separate workspace at home.
They're just like, my couch is my office now.
Yeah, basically. And they were saying how it got to the point where they felt like they could never relax. Like their work was always following them.
Oh, I feel that.
Yeah.
I actually read a similar story.
Yeah.
Someone who finally decided to create a dedicated home office.
Okay.
And it wasn't anything fancy, just like a corner of their bedroom with a desk.
Right.
But they said it made a huge difference because it was like a visual cue for them to switch between work mode and home mode.
That makes sense. Yeah. Like a physical boundary.
Exactly. And it's
Yeah.
not just physical boundaries.
Right.
We also read a lot about the importance of setting boundaries with your time,
Yes. This is huge.
which, sounds simple enough, but it's actually pretty tough to do in practice.
Wait, it is. Yeah. Like, where do you draw the line?
Right. Like,
Like,
is it okay to check your email while you're watching TV with your family?
yeah.
Is it okay to take a work call during your kid's soccer game?
And there's no easy answer, right? Because it's going to be different for everyone.
Exactly.
But I think the key is to be really intentional about it.
Be intentional. Love that.
Like, actually think about what your boundaries are and then communicate them to the people you work with.
So they're not expecting you to be available 24/7.
Exactly. And, one strategy that I've heard worked well for some people is to actually treat their work schedule like a traditional office day, even if they're working from home.
Oh, interesting.
So they'll set like core office hours where they're really focused on work and unavailable for anything else.
Oh, like blocking it out on your calendar.
Exactly. And then outside of those hours, they're off limits unless it's a true emergency.
Okay, I like that.
And then that way, their family and friends know when they can count on them being present.
So important, especially for our mental health.
Yeah. Another thing we came across in the research and in some of the stories was how isolating remote work can be.
Oh, the loneliness factor. Big one.
Yeah, you don't realize how much you rely on those little interactions throughout the day.
Right, like catching up with your coworker in the break room or grabbing lunch with someone, even just like making eye contact with another human.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, let's be real, can be a rarity when you're working from home, unless you've got roommates or family around.
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting because we also read some stories about people who were able to find that sense of community online.
Oh, like those virtual co-working spaces we've heard so much about.
Exactly, where people can, log in and work alongside others virtually.
Yeah, it's like a digital water cooler.
Yeah, and some even have like virtual coffee breaks and things like that, which I think is so
And
cool.
that's amazing.
It's all about, trying to find ways to connect with others, even if it's not in person.
Because at the end of the day, we're all social creatures.
Absolutely.
And even though remote work has its challenges, I think it's also presented us with this incredible opportunity to really rethink how we work and live.
Totally.
Like
Yeah.
maybe the traditional 9 to 5 office job isn't the be all and end all anymore.
Yeah, I think companies are starting to realize that too. Like, in order to attract and retain top talent, they're going to have to offer more flexibility.
Which could be amazing for work-life balance.
Yeah, it could, if companies handle it the right way.
Right, because it's not just about offering remote work, it's about creating a culture that actually supports it.
Exactly. It's about trust and open communication and making sure that employees have the resources they need to be successful, no matter where they're working from.
Well said. So
Yeah.
to wrap things up, I think the big takeaway here is finding work-life balance in this new world of remote work is a journey.
It really is.
It's about figuring out what works for you, setting boundaries, and being intentional about how you spend your time and energy.
And don't be afraid to ask for help or support if you need it.
Absolutely.
There are so many resources available, whether it's, online communities or books or even just talking to a friend or colleague.
You are not alone in this.
Yep.
But we want to hear from you. What are some of the challenges you've faced with remote work-life balance, and what strategies have worked for you? Head over to our website or social media to share your thoughts.
We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks everyone.